to share some knowledge, and it's all about the SOC community. So thank you for being a part of that. And obviously, I'm sure you've got some great insights to share with us. First question I'll throw to Paul. I just wanted to dig into the outcomes, really. I'm sure there are many, but in your eyes, what's the most significant outcome after more than 6 years with the SOC?
At a personal level, the most significant one is peace of mind. Finishing the day, being happy to close that laptop, and not feeling that need to check it in before I go to bed, to ruin my weekends by looking at work stuff, because I know if anything serious kicks off, this is going to ring, and I'm going to get pulled into it. I know that KHIPU have eyes on screen, and are doing that detection work 24/7 for us.
Yeah, excellent. And the same to you, Hement. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, 100%. I think the first thing is definitely the 24/7 monitoring, which we know is taken care of, and also the lead time for responding to real-time threats and attacks. That wasn't there previously before we went the managed SOC route. So I can't say that I sleep easy at night, but I know that a lot of the IT estate is being looked after. And if I get a call from Oli or one of the guys on the team at 4 a.m, I know it's something that really needs to be attended to. So that definitely is a major benefit.
Amazing. And in terms of, obviously that's the broader outcomes, but in terms of your organization and your teams, are there any specific benefits in terms of your day-to-day? Does the SOC free up resource? Is there a time element to having the outsourced SOC? I'll throw that.
Yeah, it's absolutely freed up a lot of resource. We're able to focus on that improvement work, vulnerability management, other CSI to improve things and make things more secure. I don't know if I could quantify that, because our team's grown as security has become a higher priority. But I dread to think how much time we would spend just on alerts if we didn't have this SOC doing this for us.
Yeah. And for you, Hement?
Yeah, same as well. The history is that we had a formidable but a very small team to begin with, and we really were stretched. But in those days, the threat landscape was not as complex. We dealt with small things, and because of the evolving threat landscape and the resource limitations not been addressed, because I've still got the same number of people, but the challenges we face are that much bigger. Having the SOC come in has reduced pressure on our side. I can't say we're less busy here, but we're able to channel our energies into things we couldn't do before. So we onboard new services and we look at optimizing the things we already have. I'd still love to have more staff members, that's always a need. But having the SOC taking care of a lot of the alerts and making us aware of the really important stuff really frees up time for us to do other things like optimization, etc.
Amazing.
And above and beyond how the impact has been to the individual members of the team and our day-to-day, if I look at our risk management and talk about the risk we've got in there and the controls we've got against those risks, this managed SOC comes up time and time again. This is a control for this risk, and that makes SMT and the Board of Governors very happy.
Amazing. That's actually wasn't on my line of questioning, but you just mentioned in terms of the justification to, as you mentioned, a board, for instance. Would you say, that over the 2+ years, I think for CCCU, and 3+ years, that has become more evident in terms of the evidence that you need to justify outsourcing? How does that conversation go, and how has that evolved over the years?
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly up in front of the boards more often.
Yeah.
And I'm taking data that I get from the SOC reports up, and they are keen. They are asking meaningful, deep questions about the threats we're facing and how we are remediating them. I'm getting good feedback for when I'm able to talk about what we're doing, what we've got in place. So those conversations are happening. Our seniors really care, and they are happy that we have this coverage, and they would be nervous if we didn't.
Yeah, amazing. Anything from you on that one, Hement?
Yeah, same here as well, Greg. Sorry, I keep saying that, but Paul kind of covers everything.
Sorry, I'll go second next time.
Yeah,
No,
it's good that you guys are, agreeing on the.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same on our side. The SOC, managed SOC term gets tossed around quite a lot at the risk committee level, and higher up as well. And a good example is we're currently doing an independent security assessment of the network, and there's one component or subunit of the assessment which KHIPU's team is basically going to speak on, because a lot of those components they speak directly to the service offerings of the SOC. So it's out there in the forefront. It gets mentioned. The data that we get out of the SOC and the work that they're doing does get reported at the executive level. So all of that is happening, and that's always good news for the executives.
Yeah, amazing. So the next question I had was around KHIPU SOC service specifically, and anything that you would say makes the service unique or distinguished the service from others on the market. I'll go to Hement first this time.
So I think what makes it unique is when we went out looking for a managed SOC service, we obviously, it was an open tender, and we had responses across the board. And what was attractive about KHIPU was they already had quite a footprint in the education sector. And as we all know, higher ed's a very different animal compared to corporate. So I think there was already an understanding from KHIPU's perspective of the very unique clients that they deal with in higher ed, because we come with our unique challenges and a unique set of users, and unique personalities in academia as well. And because they had that understanding, they knew what the challenges were, and they could assist us in navigating through those. And also the way they approached the solution offerings were sort of tailored for universities. So I think for me, that was one of the biggest attractors in getting KHIPU on board. And then obviously with that was the evolving solutions. It wasn't a case of we're going to go with this in year one and we stop in there. We're in year 4 now, and every year we've added on additional services, and we've looked at the current services, and we've evolved and mutated them so that they fit in with the shifting landscape as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. KHIPU really understand the higher education sector, which makes our lives a lot easier. I'd also say that our relationship with KHIPU is really collaborative. When things are a conversation, I don't feel like I'm being put through box ticking or through a script. When I'm talking to teams, I know that I'm being listened to, and I'm going to get a meaningful response back, and it's going to be useful. If I think back to, I also think that KHIPU understand our estate and our infrastructure. The SOC analysts know what we've got and what we're like. And I, for example, if I get a certain incident through, I regularly get incidents that might say, we've seen this, but we saw something similar X months ago, and you said this, so we've checked Y, and we're happy that this is benign in the same way. And I love that you've learned our environment, and it's constantly reducing that noise down.
Yeah, brilliant. That's really great to hear. So just calling back to Guy's presentation at the start on the sort of build versus outsource conversation. I wondered if your view on that, has evolved over the time you've had the service, and did you consider building in-house before opting for the outsource model? Hement?
Greg, for us, I don't think it was ever going to be a reality, because we were already a limited team. For us to put in place what the managed SOC is offering was going to be an impossible task. I mean, we're looking at a very large complement of people with very, very specialized skills. And knowing that wasn't going to be possible, the managed SOC was going to be the way to go. And I think, with higher ed having limited funding, and globally, what's happening now with funding cuts taking place across the board because of what's happening in the US, etc. My feeling is that we're going to see less money coming towards IT and specifically cyber as well. So having a managed SOC that can offer such a wide range of services with a skill set also that's continuously evolving is something that we're not going to be able to do in-house. I think it makes sense that outsourcing the service definitely is a better option than having an in-house option.
Sure.
Yeah, we looked at it when we looked at the options very quickly and quickly realised that doing this ourselves was just not going to be viable. And the longer we've had this service, and the more we've come to expect such a high standard from it, that there's no chance we're going to change that. We're not going to be able to provide what KHIPU do. We wouldn't have the shared sector knowledge. We wouldn't have the collaborative nature. We wouldn't get the input from the other universities. I wouldn't get to see Kingston's playbooks. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
We previously we had a SEAM service. So we'd seen that, we had an idea, and we hadn't been able to capitalize on it. So moving to the managed SOC, which gave us the Google Chronicle, Google SecOps elements, gave us that SEAM, but gave us it in a way where we could call on KHIPU's expertise to help us. It was fantastic. I don't know, Hement, if you've played much, if you spend a lot of time in the dashboards, but I think they're a great example of the collaborative nature we've got with KHIPU, where we asked for a few dashboards to be created to help us do a few bits, and we talked through with SOC analysts, and now we're able to spin up our own, and we've got quite a few because they're a really useful tool, and KHIPU have facilitated that and helped us get there.
Yeah, brilliant. Anything to add to that, Hement, or Paul's done a good job of
He pretty much covered it. Yeah, I mean, we definitely seen a lot of benefit from the dashboards and the reporting that we get, and also the way the teams do approach the alerts that are coming up. As Paul alluded to, the idea that after a while they kind of know which alerts that they've dealt with, and if it pops up again, they remember what they've done with that particular alert in the past. So they become very familiar with the client, and that actually helps, with alerts going forward in the way we deal with incidents.
Brilliant. Just conscious of time, I have two more questions. So the first one was kind of a broader question. Obviously, we've got a lot of individuals from the education sector on this morning, which is great, but also from other sectors. And obviously, you guys will be speaking specifically around education, but I just wanted to dive into we've heard from Gareth about threats and evolving landscapes, and I just wondered what your thoughts were for the sort of the short-term future and long-term in terms of the cybersecurity landscape and the measures that obviously the SOC and you guys will be taking to advance your protection. Paul?
Yeah, I mean, attacks are increasing. We're all working hard to enhance our protections, but we're all seeing more hits, and actually just the fact that we're getting more visibility means we're aware of how many more attacks are happening. In the short term, we've done some work on our endpoint protection. We're upgrading that, and we're going to be getting some extra data going into the SOC, and I'm really excited to see what KHIPU are going to be able to give us off the back of that. But the second piece we're going to be doing is that more to automation. We need those quicker responses, and we need to know that they're going to happen 24/7, which is why Dimi's talk hit so hard earlier.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see that, look into those Kingston's playbooks and see what else we could be doing in that space to speed up our response times.
Amazing. Hement, and yourself?
Yeah, so Greg, we're focusing on three large items in the short term. The one is we've purchased a few solutions outside of the SOC service, and we're going to be ingesting those into the SIEM. So the additional cybersecurity mechanisms, but because the SIEM's going to have an eye on it, they'll become part of the alerting mechanism. The second item that we've spent a lot of time on, and I loved Tumi's talk because he literally could be speaking about our organization, we're busy with playbook development with the KHIPU team, and it's been a fascinating journey to see what's possible. So we've got one playbook that's almost ready for deployment, and there's 2 others under development. So that's the other thing that's happening. And then we also running a POC on what Matt spoke about earlier, which was the optimization of log ingestion. Initially we were injecting a lot of logs into the system. We're now looking at how we can optimize that so that we don't have a large footprint on the capacity that's available to us on Chronicle. So in the short term, those are the 3 things that we spending a lot of time on.
Amazing. I did say that was my penultimate question, but you've both actually answered the final one as well. So that was, and actually in the interest of time, that's probably a good thing. Both Hement and Paul are going to be hosting their own tables in the networking session in a few minutes. However, if you do have a question now that I could pose to each of the guys, please do. If not, my final thing to say is obviously thank you to both Hement and Paul for taking part today. Really appreciate it. And just to say that we do have case studies for WITS and CCCU on their SOC journeys, as well as a number of others from Barton Peveril, Royal College of Music, Loreto School, lots of different types of organizations, different sizes, etc., which will be relevant, and we'll share all of those. And also just to say that from Royal Academy of Music, Seb is also going to be hosting a table. So if you do want to speak with him directly, he will be around in the networking session. So thank you both, and I'll hand back to Chloe.
Perfect. Thank you,
Great,
Greg.
thank
You do actually have a couple of questions, so if we're okay to quickly run through them. So the first one from Mitchell is, what is a good criteria for choosing which threats to automate versus those to handle manually? So I'm not sure if you both want to have a go at answering that, or if one of you just want to take it.
I don't mind jumping in there, Chloe, if Paul's okay with it.
Absolutely fine.
And I think because we are looking at automating currently, so what we've opted to do is look at the alerts that were coming through sort of thick and fast on one of our Microsoft platforms on the security center, and one that we knew that we didn't have the human capacity to deal with. So that's the one that we've decided to look at, and it's actually the Impossible Traveler playbook. And it's exactly the way that Jumi described it in that process flow. It's looking at certain criteria, making a decision on that criteria, and then actually getting the system to act on it. So the manual intervention required is minimized, right down to the point where I think the only thing our service desk needs to do is actually phone the user. So we're going to automate the password reset, kill active sessions, and then the service desk calls the user and gets the user to reset the password. So we're basing the playbooks on what the current high alert rates are, where we don't have the resources to deal with. And I think the second one would be the phishing one, because those are the big issues currently in our environment.
Yep, so we're quite early down that journey, but we're going to be using the same metrics to decide which ones to do. It's going to be about the volume of the alerts we're seeing, and that's going to change per institution of what we find. And compare that with the complexity of the solution. If it's easy to script and you see a lot of it, it's going to be the first ones to automate away.
Great, thank you. And then there's one more question from David, which is, since your life with SOC, have you seen any examples of threats where the outcome would have been very different pre-SOC? I don't know if you want to take that one first, Paul.
Well, I've certainly had incidents which things that we have not seen from anywhere else, and the first we've heard about it is from KHIPU, and we've gone off and investigated quickly. I've also had incidents where we've had the report from the user or from another mechanism, we've investigated, and then we've flagged it up to the KHIPU team, and they've come back with extra things that we've missed. Obviously, we've taken those queries, we've added those to our knowledge base, we've built in processes, but they found stuff that we haven't. So would have potentially left the door open, or continuation of the problem in some way that KHIPU have managed to stop for us.
Perfect. Hement, anything to add?
Yeah, I've had a few, without giving away too much information, I've had a couple of phone calls at 3 in the morning for incidents that were dealt with very quickly. And had the SOC not been present, I think I would have walked into a very large inferno at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I can't say that they, from a tech perspective, they're kind of unique, but the fact that the SOC was available at that time to alert us to the issue really prevented a much larger fallout, I should say. Yeah.
Perfect. I hope that answered your question, David, gave you a little bit more insight into a life before SOC. I can't see any more questions, so I will say thank you both and Greg for this Q&A session.